Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and I wanted to make a quick little video just showing my latest character, which is of course an Ellie Wander. It's been a while since I've made a Wanding character in PoE, and it's been a very long while since I've made an Ellie Wander, since my last one was Chaos and Fizz, and based around an occultist. This time around we went with Pathfinder because we wanted to go elemental, and Pathfinder still makes more or less the most sense on somewhat of a budget. You definitely have the option to go something like an Inquisitor, but I feel like that's more suited for people that have really strong gear. And I was still just trying to make a middle-of-the-road Wander in this sort of character, while still experiencing some decent success. Pathfinder feels great, and I will go over in a bit more detail about that later in the video, but I just wanted to let you see a bit of the gameplay action with how Ellie Wander feels, because so far it's probably been my most enjoyable character this league. It's got a really smooth clear speed and play style, and just on a 4-link KB we have been absolutely steamrolling everything, probably leveling about as fast as I could this entire league. I'm not sure I've had a faster leveling character yet, and Ellie Wander feels like it's in a really good place, which should be, you know, only strengthened next league, but we'll have to see if there's any nerfs coming to flasks and all that, because Dying Sun's pretty damn OP, and I wouldn't expect it to last too much longer. In any case, this is just a 4-link KB with a 5-link barrage, and I wanted to kind of talk a bit more about currency investment into a Wander and how much stronger it can get. Because this one over here that you're seeing right now isn't very expensive, and by that I mean something like 10 or 15 exalts. You're not going to make a great Wander without putting a few exalts into it, because there are a lot of fun tools out there for a Wander right now, and quite a lot of potential in gear upgrades. This is what it is just for this character so far. I'm sure it should be able to take on all kinds of content in the future, but at the moment, just a bit of a gameplay example, and I'll get straight into showing you what I'm talking about with my character and currency investment. So I would like to initially just go over the Elemental Pathfinder Wander that I'm doing this time around, because I haven't done an Elemental Wander in quite a while, and then I'll go over what kind of gear you can get to make it infinitely more expensive and better, and what I've currently chosen to use as far as gear slots go. So this is a Pathfinder, and the reason is, as always, flasks are really good, and so just a lot of the utilities that Pathfinder gets. Specifically, Veteran Bowyer over here gives you another 10% pen. This over here gives you some good attack speed and movement speed. And then of course, Vinctar sustains really easy, and it makes some of these other flasks, namely Dying Sun, a lot better. So it is an unfortunate reality that Pathfinder is basically the best thing for a lot of classes, but is what it is, and you know, it still feels good to play regardless of being the 15th Pathfinder in a league. So what happens is, with the Alchemist node here and with the extra flask effect nodes here, you do get 50% extra flask effect, so Dying Sun goes from 2 projectiles to 3 projectiles. Now that is a very big deal. I will show you right here, just on a quick calculation, what Dying Sun does for the build. 1 million barrage DPS in our current setup. Boom, 580. So it almost doubles my damage. And if you go extremely expensive and get 2 barrage projectiles on your helm, we're talking another 10 exalts. That ends up being quite substantial. So we have a Crown of Eyes, which I have almost no spell damage, but if you chuck that on with the enchant, we're all of a sudden up another 50% of our DPS. The damage numbers on a Wander can get pretty ridiculous just the more you invest into it. Another good example is the Wand. This is a pretty basic Wand. It costs 1 exalt to get. It's just, importantly, it has lightning damage on it, since we're largely lightning based. A really good crit roll. You can craft an attack speed roll, and the Fizz isn't completely wasted, but you would rather potentially another element or spell damage. If you can get a lot of spell damage on there, your Crown of Ice can then scale your damage really high. Likewise with your shield. It's a pretty basic shield, but it does have a lot of energy shield, so 500 energy shield. If you instead can get 60 or 70 spell damage, all of a sudden that's another huge gain from Crown of Eyes. So Crown of Eyes isn't particularly worth it in my setup, and I'm just running a standard Hubris. But if you can get the really expensive stuff, then Crown of Eyes starts doing a lot of work for you and opens up possibilities on jewels, gear, all that sort of stuff, and you can really start start multiplying your DPS. But for our sort of mid-tier level of Wander, we've spent maybe 10 or 15 exalts worth of gear. It is still really good, and it's probably around about where you want to be at the baseline. You can see, for example, my rings here aren't very good, but you can always get accuracy, wed, lightning damage, lightning percent damage. There's a lot of damage that can go into a ring, likewise on this one, and the amulet ain't too bad, but it can also be better. So, you know, you can pretty much put a mirror quality item in every single slot and gain more and more DPS. So Wanders are one of those classes that you're going to feel every piece of currency you spend on it and get results out of. Gloves, they're not too impressive. You can definitely get a lot more ES, and you know, the more ES you get from your gear, the more you can drop on the tree for more damage. So ultimately I'm doing something like 1/5 to 1/10 the damage of a perfect Wander at the moment, and it still should be adequate for everything in the game, I'd say. But I'll go over real quick just how I built this character and maybe more of a guide to follow in the future if it needs to happen. We're CI, so just, you know, CR nodes up here, energy shield around the place, wanding nodes up here, flask nodes over here, get 1 power charge. We're mostly lightning based because there's quite a lot of good lightning stuff you can do, as well as arcing blows, and we travel down here for primal force, as well as getting point blank, because most of the time we are point blanking and it feels like the kinetic blast projectiles, the explosions, work with it too. But most of the time we're point blanking with our barrage for bosses, and that's just a huge damage multiplier. Now the way you build a Wander these days, as we've already established several times, is barrage on your 5 or 6 link attached to a bunch of damage shit, and your kinetic blast on the 4 link with some important links. So we have kinetic blast, weapon elemental damage, pierce, and GMP, and that 4 link can clear all the trash in the game extremely efficiently, so you don't need any better. You just focus on 6 linking your barrage, and this one currently has barrage, added lightning, crit strikes, lightning pen, and weapon elemental damage. The 6 one at this stage is probably Ellie focus. We might eventually drop crit strikes depending on what happens with the character, but it's not that easy to fill out crit anymore. For auras and shit, I'm running Herald of Ice, Herald of Thunder, and Wrath most of the time, but when you need to get serious and put that discipline on for other boss fights and stuff, you drop the Herald of Ice and then get the discipline on. So I do have an Enlighten attached to my Wrath and my discipline, and also this Wrath mana enchant. So we have quite a lot of mana, and this is our serious business setup. 10k ES, get the curse on hit from Herald of Thunder for power charges, and Herald of Ice just for map clearing. I think that's about all I'll say for this character at this moment. You get a lot of penetration from the Vinctar and the Wise Oak, so it really starts to scale better than Inquisitor, I do believe. I'll just show you my actual penetration. 46 baseline right here, and 91% lightning penetration with everything up. So it starts to get pretty nuts. We'll do some more high-end content with this character in the future, in the next few days, and hopefully I'll have another video wrapping it up for you. Thanks for watching this one. See you guys next time.